Hello, welcome back to Fred, literally, in the shed. I just thought I'd do another video on clarifiers because after I did the first video on the CRT6900N, I kind of felt that people were thought I had a bit of a dig at it and I was putting the radio down, and absolutely not. I absolutely love my 69N. It featured it on that long 305 video recently. It did brilliantly. Got all of the stations in, it got out on its 22 watts. Can't really complain with this radio for the money, for £150. But as I've said before, I'm just not in love with this clicky clarifier that doesn't reset when you change channel. And also another couple of comments that came through, and I do agree, to be honest, the channel select switch, it's a little bit loose. It does feel a little bit sort of cheap, to be honest, but it is a cheap radio. But an example of how they got a clarifier absolutely right and spot on first time is on the President Grant. It is totally smooth and it's a real pleasure to use. It's a very nice large sort of knob there and a completely smooth pot, and that's really how you want to do a clarifier without the steps. And again, when you change channel on the Grant 2, for example, if you had the clarifier over, say, about the 1 o'clock position there, when you went to channel 31, it would still be, you'd have to manually bring it back, but you'd hear that when you sort of was on the radio. Also, the channel select on the Grant 2 is lovely. It is a really nice, firm, precise channel select, very much like CB's of the day. So yeah, it's hard really to compare the 6900 to the Grant 2. I mean, monetary wise, I think the Grant 2 has been it's obsolete now. I don't think they're making it. I only found a couple of places where this was for sale, and it's priced quite high. I think it's the premium version, which is the higher powered, but it's coming in at about £275, and I think that's a little bit excessive. Do you know what? If I had to choose between the two radios, and I'm rather sentimentally attracted to this one, but other than that, I would choose the 6900, even though it's got the slightly rocky clarifier and the cheaper fill channel select. And it's because of local noise. This early President Grant 2, I think they may have fixed this possibly on the premium version, but if you look at the meter here, you'll see that it drops off to about an S1, and then every now and then it's flicking up to S7, S8, and when I turn up the volume you'll hear lots of crackles, lots of peaks, which is local interference, local QRM, being in a home base environment. Have a listen. You've got all of that sort of crackling, and if I switch to the 6900 on the sideband, yes, it's still picking up a little bit of noise. But you'll see it's way less. We're only getting about S3 to S4 of noise. So on full RF power gain there. Now, shall we get back to the Grant? Just picks up too much local noise. It's a shame. I think if you took it on the side of a hill and you put up a large antenna and you went on some net or something like that, I think it would perform really well. But you know, S8 to S7 to S8 of noise coming in, yeah, it's a shame. It just doesn't work so well for me on a home base environment. But that aside, the controls, the channel control, the clarifier, all of the buttons, the way the radio, it is a lovely radio to use. That's about it for the old President Grant 2. No longer available anywhere. Appears they've stopped making that one, and it's a shame because the outgoing model was a premium export model, and they seem to have solved a lot of the issues. I believe it was fitted with better filters, ceramic filters. So let me know if you've got the later model. If you bought the later model, did you find any problems with oversensitivity? Did it work okay in a home base environment? Let me know. It does seem a shame that just when they sorted it out they decided to move on from that model. I also understand that the later models had more power. I believe, I was told they were an output of 24 watts on sideband. They had a heatsink on the back to cope with this, but when I've checked the spec of the outgoing model, it's still showing 4.4 and 12 watts. So again, if you've got one of the outgoing models, am I right? Were they 24 watts on sideband, or was that a mod that you had to do after you purchased it? But it's not all bad news for President, because a new model they brought out was the President Mckinley. Now this looks a really nice rig. It's a 4.4 and 12 watter, so it's perfectly legal. It also has a nice big heat sink on the back, so you shouldn't get any problems with heat. And I've noticed recently that they've discounted the price. It launched at about $275, the same as the Grant 2 Premium, but has now dropped down to about $225. So that's sounding a little bit more like it. It has a nice front firing speaker. That's something I really like with radios. The display's a little bit smaller than the Grant, which I think was the Grant's biggest, nicest feature really. They have sort of made it a bit smaller on the display, but it is a pure DIN size fitted radio, which makes it easier for fitting it into cars. Not got one myself, but I've seen some reviews, and this does appear to be a nice little radio and a worthy replacement for the good old Grant 2. Another radio that we've had to say goodbye to this year is the Yaesu 450D. It's been discontinued, and this is a real shame. This was always a good entry level radio into the world of ham radio, and also used by people for CB, mostly on sideband. Had DSP filtering, had a very nice receive, had notch filter, had shift filtering, stuff like that. I've got one and find it really good on sideband, but Yaesu have decided to move on. Everything's becoming sort of touch screen now, but of course the price has gone up. So yeah, this radio no longer being made. You can just about pick one up new if you search around. There's a few available, but like everything else, because the demand has shot up, the price has also gone up, and it's rather expensive if you want to buy one new. Another victim maybe of this COVID thing is the Olinko Dx R8t. This is the receiver version of the popular SR8. Again, this has been discontinued. Olinko said it's because there's lack of parts available for this radio, and I think once this one's gone, it's only a matter of time until the SR8 follows, unfortunately. And I looked on Amazon, and the SR8 is already currently unavailable. You can still get the radio new, but again, to me it looks like the price has gone up. It's a bit of a step up now from CB radios. Thankfully, there's a lot of these models available second hand. They don't seem to sort of demand the same prices as your Kenwoods and your Yaesus, things like that. So I think as a second hand buy with a guarantee from Radio World, something like that, these are still a good buy. I like mine. I use mine quite a lot. Again, it's got a nice front firing speaker, which makes the audio very clear. Comparing the SR8 to the 450D, well, there's a couple of things you miss out on. You miss out on the full DSP filtering that you get with the Yaesu, but do you really need that on CB radio 11 meters? Probably not. It's a bit of a luxury, something nice to have, but you can certainly do without it. So there you go. Just thought I'd end this video on just showing what's coming in and what's going out. As always, cheers, thanks for your view time, I appreciate it. I'm a small channel. Give me the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate that as well. But as for now, as always, please stay safe, and of course, yeah, I'll catch you all on the next one. Cheers guys.